picked up a book and started reading it this week by Brennan Manning, a guy I'd never heard of. It's called The Furious Longing of God by Brennan Manning. He also wrote Ragamuffin Gospel. I've spent the past week just fasting from TV and trying to soak myself in different books. And Brennan Manning is a guy who was a Catholic priest and a recovering alcoholic, and he's been down a long road and seen God do some amazing things, and I've just kind of soaked myself in this book. But the opening verse that he shares going into chapter 1, it knocked me down. It was a very, very hard, it was a hard verse to soak in, and it comes from Song of Solomon. And the verse is Song of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 10. He says, I am my beloved's, and his desire is for me. Now, if you've read through Song of Solomon, you know that this is going back and forth between two lovers. But as we read this book, we know that God's intention for us is for us to understand that he is the bridegroom, and the church, we are his bride, and God has this huge desire for us. And I think about my desire I have for my wife, and it's nothing compared to the desire that God has for each one of us. It's hard, isn't it? Because there are days we don't feel like doing our devotions. There are days we don't feel like praying. We don't feel like witnessing to people. We don't feel like writing that check for the tithe. It feels more like an obligation. And God has a desire for us. I am my beloved's, and his desire is for me. I take him for granted all too often, and I can't. I have to understand and grasp this idea that God has a strong desire for me, so I just can't be passé in my relationship to him. I have to make sure it's something that is a commitment, it is something that I long for. And I think if we could just grasp how much he loves us, then we would have such a tremendous amount of love for him as well. Something else I read in another book this week, and I can't really recall who it was. I believe it was Oswald Chambers in The Holy Occupation of Prayer. He said that God loves me as much as he loves Jesus. That's his desire for us. So spend some time today and just try to grasp that. I am my beloved's, and his desire is for me.